Take a look at this massive crowd gathered on a bridge in India. It's the 1920s, the aftermath of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and millions of people are waiting for direction. But the leadership of the independence movement had just abruptly suspended their peaceful protests. Without a clear path forward, a deeply disillusioned generation of young Indians took matters into their own hands. They launched scattered, uncoordinated attacks against the empire. But these isolated acts of physical retaliation were easily crushed by British forces. The colonial government capitalized on this chaos. By writing off every act of resistance as mere terrorism, the British effectively stripped the movement of any political legitimacy in the eyes of the law. Raw anger wasn't enough. Throwing yourself at an empire without a sophisticated long-term strategy didn't bring a nation closer to freedom. It just filled the prisons and the graveyards. To actually threaten British rule, the resistance needed a new playbook. Out of this realization came the Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, a group built on the idea that dismantling the empire required a highly coordinated two-pronged approach. One half of that equation was Chandrasekhar Azad. He served as the group's militant backbone, an elusive guerrilla fighter who made a childhood vow that the colonial police would never capture him alive. The other half was Bhagat Singh, a charismatic Marxist scholar who understood that defeating the British meant using the empire's own legal and political institutions against them. By combining Azad's shadowy underground warfare with Singh's highly visible political theater, the HSRA forged an entirely new method of anti-colonial resistance. In late 1928, a popular nationalist leader named Lala Lajpat Rai died after a brutal police beating. The HSRA responded with lethal precision, assassinating a British police officer, John P. Saunders, right on the streets of Lahore. The squad immediately fled. To ensure their escape, Azad provided cover fire, shooting a pursuing police officer and securing their route out of the city. While the police launched a massive manhunt, Azad vanished completely. He committed himself to the underground, operating under the obscure alias Pandit Harishankar Brahmachari. Operating out of a remote hut by the Satad River, Azad quietly built up the group's arsenal, running secret shooting ranges and training a new cadre of fighters deep in the forest. Because of Azad's meticulous organization, the British administration constantly faced a lethal physical threat that they could neither locate nor accurately quantify. But Bhagat Singh recognized a limit to the shadows. Running and hiding allowed the British to paint them as common criminals. To spread their socialist ideals to the masses, they needed a massive public megaphone. This imposing circular structure is the Central Legislative Assembly in Delhi. In April 1929, Singh and an associate entered the public gallery while the assembly was in session and tossed 2 homemade bombs onto the floor. Crucially, these devices were low intensity. They were explicitly built to make noise, not to kill. As the smoke filled the chamber, Singh and his partner didn't run. Instead, they scattered printed leaflets detailing their cause, shouted revolutionary slogans, and calmly stood their ground until the authorities placed them in handcuffs. This was the tactic of deliberate arrest. By willingly surrendering, Singh forced the colonial government to put him on trial, giving him a legally protected platform to speak. The bombing achieved exactly what it was meant to do. It launched a strategic media campaign that would broadcast the HSRA's manifesto to almost every village in India. Once inside the courtroom, Singh turned standard legal proceedings into a daily political broadcast. He defended himself, submitting lengthy, articulate statements about socialism and freedom that the press published verbatim. Inside the prison walls, the battle continued. Singh and his comrades launched a brutal hunger strike, demanding the administration treat them as political prisoners rather than ordinary criminals. The strike dragged on for an agonizing 116 days. The men endured physical abuse and force-feeding attempts, a toll that culminated in the tragic death of their fellow striker, Jatin Das, from starvation. Indian-owned newspapers covered the strike obsessively. Day by day, front-page updates on their declining health amplified their struggle, turning the once underground fighters into national household names. Look closely at this 1929 portrait of Singh. By deliberately posing in a tailored suit and tie, he presented himself as a sophisticated scholar revolutionary, directly challenging the British caricature of a rabid, uneducated militant. Through this relentless media strategy, a 22-year-old prisoner achieved a level of public influence that rivaled the top leadership of the Indian National Congress. The British realized the standard legal process was only fueling the rebellion. To stop Singh's growing popularity, the viceroy declared an emergency, bypassing the normal courts to establish a special tribunal that quickly sentenced Singh and his associates to the gallows. Around the same time, Chandrasekhar Azad's underground network finally fractured. Cornered by police in Allahabad's Alfred Park, Azad found himself surrounded, following what many suspected was a betrayal by an informant. Outgunned, Azad fought back fiercely, providing cover fire so his companion could escape. Staying true to his childhood vow to never be captured alive, he used his final bullet on himself. Back in Lahore, Bhagat Singh faced his death sentence with the same absolute resolve. He firmly refused to file a mercy appeal or offer any apology to the British Crown. He spent his final days in a prison cell composing his famous essay, Why I Am an Atheist, and reading the works of Vladimir Lenin. On March 23, 1931, at just 23 years old, Singh walked to the gallows. For both the sniper and the scholar, death was not a failure of their mission. It was the calculated final step required to permanently seal their ideological legacy. The execution sent shockwaves through the subcontinent. The sheer sacrifice of the HSRA forced the mainstream independence movement, including Mahatma Gandhi's strictly nonviolent campaign, to face urgent, uncomfortable questions about militant action and class struggle. The ultimate victory of Singh and Azad was ideological. They injected clear, secular, socialist ideals directly into the bloodstream of a young, modern India. It proved the thesis Singh had printed on the leaflets he threw in the assembly years earlier. Great empires can crumble, and authorities can easily execute individuals, but they cannot kill the ideas those individuals leave behind.